Welcome to a video on Itslearning. In this video, we're going to look at teachermade, I should say. We're going to look at how I set up my Itslearning, my plans, organization, all kinds of different things. And then we'll also look at what teachermade is, what it looks like from the student perspective and teacher perspective. So let's start with Itslearning. Of course, you know what it looks like. So my plans, this is what my plans look like for this week. My test day is Monday, which is why you see quizzes at the very beginning. But what I do is when I make my learning path, I typically make a plan in the learning path and copy it over here. I try to be very clear about due dates, and these are expected due dates. Like, they should really have this done by Thursday. Like, they should. And they should have this one done by Monday. But everything is technically due. I'll start taking points away on Monday because that's their assessment day. Like, they should have everything done before their test. And then, of course, their quizzes, retakes, and then over here in additional resources, this is where I put videos. Like, this is my recording from class on the 26th, and it's a Google video. So, but I don't typically put videos in the learning path because a lot of my students find that when the video is there, they have to watch it, and so they spend my class time watching a video instead of doing the assignment. So if I post a video, it's typically after the assignment, and I don't put it in the learning path. I put it in additional resources. Okay, so what organization do I do that looks like this? That may be different than what everybody else does. Number one, my folders, of course, I have them unit by unit. My assessments have their own folder. My additional resources like the video links, you can see I have pages of notes from Lincoln Learning that I copied over. The test prep interim schedules here too, just anything additional that I've given them. That goes in additional resources, just so it keeps this nice and neat and I know what's going on. So that's how I typically organize that, and you can see that's how I've done almost, like, this is a mess. This is when I decided to do that. Unit 2, you can see I started doing it. It looks a lot nicer, and it's easier to find things. Like, if I need to know where an assessment is, it's right here. Also, I don't put assessments in the learning path because when I did that, my students weren't getting to the end of the learning path to take the assessment. So I started doing like, my math is test days Monday. So they have an assessment every Monday, no matter what. Whether it's a quiz or a test, they have an assessment over what they did last week. And my students actually say that they like it. It makes assessments on Mondays a little more memorable because it's not like a random Monday we have a test. There's some kind of assessment they need to study for or not study for on Monday. So my learning paths, they typically all look like this. I have an overview page, and on my overview, this one's probably not the best one to look at. Most of my overview pages look like this. They have a schedule for the week, and stuff you need to know is always part of this page, almost always. And every once in a while, I'll put a video here. This one may be a little off. Let's see, this one may be better. Yeah, okay. So suggested dates for the learning path. This is where I make my plans, and this is where I copy this into my plans, and my plans are the most up to date, but this is what the plan was. In the stuff you need to know, I told them what it is, and typically I'll tell them like, this is where you can find it. So in this case, we have excluded values. They did that last week. Simplifying, they did that last week. How to graph vertical and horizontal lines. Not something we've technically covered this year, so I added a YouTube video. If it's something as far back as that, I will typically add videos, and like if it's been a unit or two, I'll even add videos from that just to kind of, if they need a reminder, there's a reminder. And then most of my learning paths are going to be set up as you get the overview, and then it's notes, assignment, and so on. So my notes are, I get them from Lincoln Learning. I don't do any kind of PowerPoints or anything they have to go somewhere else. Everything they need is right here. All the notes, they're examples, because math, we want examples, and it's all there for them to scroll or ignore as they might do. And then their task. Now the task is typically how I do most of my assignments. They get a little check yes or no box if they've completed it. And here is typically, it's a link to whatever we're doing, whether it's a Google slide that I had them copy and share with me, or a class kick, or an iExcel, or quizzes. There will be a link to either the website, or if I can, especially like the iExcel and stuff, if I can link it straight to that assignment, I will. So that is, you can see this one I haven't opened yet, but it's structured almost the same. This week's a little different, but I try to keep the structure the same for every week so that it's consistent. They know what to expect when they get into their learning path. If their assignment's not the first thing, it's going to be about the third thing. And when you get halfway through the week, you should be farther down in the learning path, and there's going to be another assignment. And they usually get 2 to 3 assignments a week, depending on the week and what the topic is. Like, this topic is not really that difficult. This one might be, so this one's kind of, and I will put additional pages and tasks sometimes at the end, just in case. But one thing I will say that I don't typically do is I don't put assignments in tasks. I've done that before, and the students got really confused. Even when it said like, click the photo below or click the link below, like, most of them weren't reading the page. They were just trying to get past it because it would let them. So that's why I don't really do that. Some other things that I do, especially during class, is I tend to be pestering. If you have something like iExcel or quizzes where you can see live time what they're doing, if a kid is not working, I will message them in the chat saying, hey, do you need help? Not, why aren't you doing your work, but do you need help with your assignment? Or I'll ask, do you need help finding your assignment? If they don't respond to that within a couple of minutes, I ask them to turn their video on if it's off. And if their video is on and they're still not responding, I'll just say, hey, Jill, check your chat. And typically that gets them, so nobody knows what I'm saying, but they know that, hey, she's got a message. And I think that's about it that I can think of for Itslearning. If there's something I forgot and you want to ask, feel free to ask. Now we're going to switch over to teachermade. So teachermade is app.teachermade.com. It is a free website where you can create worksheets. And you can have folders for different classes. And you can see I've got a few in here. This page just tells you what it is and actions you can take. One thing that I'm not a big fan of that it does is once students have started the worksheet, you cannot edit it. You have to make a copy. We'll call that copy that. Then you can go in and edit, but it's not going to edit what they were doing. So just to show you what one may look like, this is a worksheet that I have from a program that the math department has for worksheets. And you have the ability to make different types of questions. In math specifically, we have numbers, fractions, mixed numbers, algebraic expressions, which is what these are. And they're just like little text boxes. I would make sure pay attention to where you put them. My students had issues with these placements, which may have been my fault. But maybe putting them up here could have been better next to the problem. But you can do a hotspot. I don't like pick the K. Like I don't know what you would do with that. Like if you have a picture in it, that's probably for biology or something would be really good. You can do true or false, yes or no, true or false, and it's just a button that you click. Let's see here. You can do multiple choice, and oh wow, you can have lots of choices. You can have 2, 3, 4, up to 8 choices. So if you have a test that is multiple choice, what this does is, let's say this right here, it just gives you the little dots to put next to the choices. And then you just, on this page, would say, okay, that's the correct one. I think I actually have a worksheet, sorry, that I did that on. This one. Make a copy. Sorry, that's how you do all that stuff, by the way. I didn't talk about that, but this is just another worksheet that I had found and used, but here are the multiple choice. You just add your multiple choice, 3 choices, you click it, you make it as big as you want it, you make them really big, or just kind of normal size, and you just put them wherever you want next to it, and then the kids can choose from there which one is right. And what you do here is, this was not an option when I made this worksheet, but this is where you can actually type in the answers. You can tell it not to score or how many points you want it to score. And for math, of course, it does all that coding for you. You can also do check boxes the same way as multiple choice. You can do matching. I want to match. Oh, I want to match. I don't even know. How does this even work? I don't even know. That's something you may have to figure out for yourself. I've never tried that. You can also do an open answer. Let's see what happens here. Starter text optional. So you may be able to add like an answer key prompt, but I don't think it'll grade it for you. And let's see. Oh, you can do a drop down box. I've actually done this with some. You can make it as big or as small as you want, and you can edit. So you can add, let's say 5, 1, 3, 4, and 10. And I want that one to be right. So when the students go to it, they'll have all these choices, but this is the one it'll mark as correct, and that's the one that'll get them points. Okay, switching things real quick. This is what you see when the students are working. This is one she didn't attend because she put in the wrong email. By the way, they use their Gmails to get into this, which is kind of nice. Um, but also like there's not a roster, so you either have to have a link for every class or you have to kind of sift through all your students. But this is what it looks like from our end of what the student is doing. So you can see she hasn't done anything here, but if I go over here, you can see this is her work. If there's an answer key, hover over it, it'll show you the answers, and it'll mark it red or green if they got it right or wrong. And this is what the students see when they submit. So one thing to point out, let me find my link. Let me get to that one. It's fine if I did. Okay, so this is the student view, and they do have save for later and I'm done. Save for later means that they can come in, sign in just like I did, and all their work will still be here from the last time they worked on it. If they say I'm done, it's going to submit it and it's going to tell them all the ones they got right or wrong. So just like that. So I got all them wrong because I didn't answer it, but it'll tell them in red, and you can actually set the assignment to edit. Nope, wasn't that. Nope, you cannot edit the worksheet while you're in it, but there was edit the assignment. So you can edit the assignment to show students the correct answer versus showing students answers or just their score. I like for my students to know if it's right or wrong, but I don't like them to know what the correct answer is because I want them to try to figure it out. And you can change what is shown, just the points earned, how many points are possible, or percentages, or just a percentage. I like to do that one so they know how much each is worth. This is really all that I know about this website. I'm still kind of new to it. So play with it. Let me know if you find something cool. If not, if you have questions, let me know.